Until just a few months ago, his name seemed to have vanished from the Formula One radar. Dropped, set aside, considered a closed chapter by now. And then, within the space of a single weekend, Yuki Tsunoda turned everything upside down. He came back to the track almost out of nowhere, silenced his critics, and reignited a question that is shaking the driver market. His future could be far from where everyone thought. And the name that keeps bouncing around the paddock corridors is just one: Aston Martin. Stop for a moment, because this is one of those stories that, within a few weeks, can completely change a driver's career. A man given up for finished, who suddenly finds himself back at the center of everything. And behind this rebirth lies a web of interests worth millions. Before continuing, do me a quick favor. Subscribe to the channel and write a single word in the comments: deserves or enough, so I'll know whether you think Tsunoda still has a place in this sport. Now let me tell you everything, step by step. Let's go in order, because you need to understand where this story comes from. Tsunoda, after years in Formula One, had been pushed to the margins. The difficulties, the results that didn't come, and an ever fiercer competition had pushed him out of the main plans. It seemed his adventure among the greats was destined to slowly fade away, far from the spotlight. Many had already filed him away as a wasted talent, one of those drivers who come and go and get forgotten. And pay attention, because his fall had been particularly hard to digest. Because Tsunoda wasn't just any driver. He carried on his shoulders the weight of an entire nation, the Japanese one, which saw in him its great hope of finally having a protagonist at the top of Formula One. Every step of his was followed by millions of fans on the other side of the world. And watching him slowly slip out of the plans, race after race, had been a blow to the heart not only for him, but for everyone who had believed in his talent. The pressure was enormous, the criticism merciless, and the feeling was that of a dream slowly crumbling before everyone's eyes. And then came Zandvoort, a weekend nobody expected. Called up to replace another driver in a delicate moment, Tsunoda suddenly found himself back in the car with a single chance to prove something. One of those chances that can be worth an entire career. And he, instead of crumbling under the pressure, showed up and delivered. Because in that Grand Prix, Tsunoda came close to the point zone, stopping just short of a very heavy result. He drove with aggression, with clarity, and above all, he beat his teammate in that single appearance. A detail that, in the world of Formula One, is worth more than 1,000 words. Because when you come back after being dropped, and the first thing you do is go faster than your teammate, you send a clear message to the whole paddock. I'm still here, and I'm still fast. Stop and think about what all this means. A driver everyone considered finished, who had been set aside, comes back for a single race and comes close to the points while beating his teammate. It's not just a nice story. It's a declaration of war on the driver market. It's the strongest possible way of saying you were wrong to drop me. And if you too love these stories of rebirth, leave a like right now and share it. Because what I'm about to tell you now about his future is even more interesting than that performance. Because the real question now is just one: what happens next? And here comes into play the name everyone is whispering, Aston Martin. To understand why, we need to talk about a bond that's been going on for years. The bond between Tsunoda and Honda. Because Honda has always believed in him, has supported him since the beginning, considers him almost like a sporting son. And Honda, from the new era of Formula One, has become the official engine partner precisely of Aston Martin. You understand where I'm getting at. There's an almost perfect web here. On one side, a driver who has just shown he still has value. On the other, a manufacturer, Honda, that backs him and now has a direct and extremely powerful bond with Aston Martin. It's the kind of scenario where, behind the scenes, forces much bigger than they appear on the surface are at work. Because when an important engine supplier pushes for a driver, teams listen. And to understand how powerful this mechanism really is, you need to know how Formula One truly works behind the scenes. An engine manufacturer isn't simply a supplier. It's a partner that invests enormous sums, that brings technology, prestige, and money into a team. And when such an important partner expresses a wish, that wish carries weight. If Honda really decided to push hard to see Tsunoda in one of its cars, Aston Martin could hardly completely ignore that request. We're not talking about a favor, but about power balances. about relationships worth hundreds of millions. And it's precisely within these invisible balances that drivers' careers are often decided, far more than on the track. But watch out, because here comes the most delicate part of the whole story. And I have to be honest with you, right now, Aston Martin's 2 seats are occupied. The team already has its drivers under contract. So we're not talking about a deal already closed, about a signature already put in black and white. We're talking about something more subtle, about an underground movement, about a possibility that, as the months pass, could turn into something concrete. Because the Formula One market is like that. It's made of interlocking pieces, of timing, of doors that open at the least expected moment. All it takes is an expiring contract, a driver who decides to move on, a team that wants to renew itself, and suddenly a scenario that seemed impossible becomes reality within a few weeks. And Tsunoda, with his performance, has just put himself back in the front row for whenever that door should open. And here comes the venomous question, the one nobody wants to ask out loud. Is Honda really preparing the ground to bring Tsunoda to Aston Martin at the right moment? Or is it just a hope, a market dream that will crash against the harsh reality of already occupied seats? I'm not selling you certainties, but when a driver is reborn right while his backer has a direct bond with a team, the coincidences start becoming too many to ignore. Stop for a second and think about the full picture. Tsunoda isn't a rookie taking his first steps. He's a driver with experience, with speed, with years at a high level behind him. For a team that wants to grow, having available a driver who's already ready, fast, and moreover, backed economically and technically by a giant like Honda is a huge advantage. It's not science fiction. It's exactly the kind of operation that in Formula One gets built in silence, far from the cameras, months before it gets announced. And don't forget a fundamental detail: the timing. All this is happening right in the period when many contracts are about to be discussed, when teams start planning for the future. It's the perfect moment for a driver to send a strong signal, and Tsunoda did it in the best possible way on the track, with facts, right when everyone believed him finished. And now think about what this means for him on a human level. Imagine having been dropped, having heard the world tell you your time was over. And then imagine getting in the car just once and proving to everyone that they were wrong. It's an enormous personal revenge. And it's perhaps precisely this hunger, this desire for redemption, the most dangerous weapon Tsunoda now has on his side. A driver who has nothing left to lose and everything to reconquer suddenly becomes the most fearsome opponent of all, capable of surprises nobody expects. Now, though, it's your turn to speak. And I really want to know, do you think Tsunoda truly deserves another great chance in Formula One? Or is his time among the best now over? And do you believe Aston Martin will, sooner or later, really open its doors to him, pushed by Honda? Or will it remain just a market dream? Write it in the comments. I want to read every one of your opinions without filters. And before we say goodbye, one last thought. If you think this could be the most sensational rebirth story of the season, hit the bell and stay with us, because we'll follow every single move of this situation as it happens. The truth is just one. A driver given up for finished has come back, has silenced everyone, and has reignited the spotlight on his own future. The seats today are occupied, it's true, but in the world of Formula One, things change fast, and a name that seemed forgotten has come back forcefully onto the map. And the question that remains hanging in the air is as simple as it is fascinating. When talent meets the right moment and the right allies, how long can a closed door really last? Think about it, and then tell me,